Hi everyone, my name is James. I've come here today to talk about some of the books that I've read for 2025 as a part of my reading challenge. Um, I set the goal of 50 books this year, and currently it's 24th of October, and I've read 40. So I'm almost done. I'm just going to go through the ones that I liked first the most, and then kind of work my way down because it's a bit easier to talk about the ones I like the most. Um, I'd never read Cormac McCarthy before, but I kind of knew that I would love the work. All of the themes that he talks about in the set and setting is all stuff that I really enjoy in literature. Um, Mainly just kind of that early 1900s Americana kind of stuff, like Lonesome Drove, um, all that kind of stuff. And so I kind of didn't know where to start with McCarthy. So I started with the Border Trilogy because that is seems to be the best place to start. Um, and I loved it. I thought it was just incredible. Like the way he can write these crazy long paragraphs are just about a scene in a mountain range somewhere is just so incredible, and it really does feel like that. In some of these places, I've been to some of the places that he's written about, and the way he describes it is just so incredible. Um, I picked up these three copies of the Border Trilogy, all hardcover. Both of them, The Crossing and Cities of the Plain, are in first edition, and then this one I think is second edition. Um, anyway, I'll talk about All the Pretty Horses first. All the Pretty Horses, basically about a boy, which I really can't remember the name of, John Grady Cole. John Grady Cole. Um, he is this young kid who is kind of at a crossroads in his life and in a crossroads of American kind of culture where he wants to be this, farmhand cowboy, but that kind of life isn't really a thing anymore. It's kind of getting phased out into just the modern era. And so he decides to run away with his friend, which I can't also remember the name of. Um, he runs off with his friend. I think his name's like Billy or something. And Rollins. He runs off with his friend named Rollins, Lacey Rollins, and they uh, make their way down to Mexico from Texas, and they obviously it's kind of like a coming of age story, but a bit darker, maybe a bit more gritty. Um, they run into another character, Jimmy Blevins, this young kid who was also kind of doing the same thing, just kind of on the run, kind of thing. Uh, Obviously, McCarthy has this kind of reputation of being quite dark and like miserable, but All the Pretty Horses actually kind of wasn't. I mean, no spoilers, but like, of course, the ending isn't going to be this like happy, like everybody lived happily ever after thing that you know he's kind of not known for. But it still was a very good book. I knew that this was very good when I read it, but I knew it probably wasn't going to be my favorite. I'd heard a lot about the second book, The Crossing, and obviously that was my favorite. This one, I think I gave it like a four, 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did really like it. I think within the context of the trilogy, it's really good. It's probably the best place to start if you've never read a McCarthy book. I think. Um, I think yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And then the next one is uh, The Crossing, which I'm obsessed with this book. I really want to read it again. Only like a few months after I read it, I was just so obsessed with this. This book is definitely a lot darker than the other book, and the themes are basically the same, but the story is different. It's not connected to All the Pretty Horses. This was kind of written separately, I believe, and then the last book is where it connects. This one is about I can't remember the kid's name. Parham. Billy Parham. Billy Parham and his brother. The first half of the book is this incredible thing. Oh, sorry, my screen's just gone blank. Ah. Um, is this incredible story of this kid who his father basically tells him to go out and kill this wolf that's causing trouble on the farm, and he finds the wolf and he decides not to kill it, but to just let it free over the border so it won't be any issues. He I can't say too much without spoiling it, but the book isn't really just about that. It kind of changes after part one into something completely different. But I was so shocked by how good this book was. The writing is in it is like a whole step above all the pretty horses. Like I feel like McCarthy really narrowed down what makes him good in this book. Um, I've read other McCarthy's. I'll get into those in another video, but this is my favorite Cormac McCarthy book. But I wouldn't recommend people to start with it. I'd probably recommend that people to start with All the Pretty Horses because it is a bit easier to read. Like it's more of a normal kind of book, I guess, not so McCarthy like. This one really amps it up, but incredible stuff. I have highlighted in my copy, well, not highlighted, I put a little sticky note because I don't want to ruin the edition, of the last paragraph of part one, which I can't read to you because it's a spoiler, but if you've read this or if you're going to read this, like this paragraph here, unreal. Some of the best writing I've ever read, truly. I deeply recommend this book. It's huge. It's, almost mythical in a way. It's a classic. It's, it's like a holy canon to all things McCarthy, in my opinion. The controversial take, but I think this is better than Blood Meridian. And Blood Meridian is supposed to be his magnum opus, but I think this is where he really hit the nail on the head and shines. And then next, he followed it up. Well, I'm not actually sure the order of when he released them, but he finished the trilogy up with Cities of the Plain. Cities of the Plain is significantly shorter than the other two. The Crossing is the biggest. This is significantly shorter. This is kind of a mix of the first and the second one, obviously, because both the characters, John Grady and Billy Parham, link up in this book, and adventure, happens. I didn't love this. I liked the ending. The ending is this very kind of like almost metaphorical kind of dream sequence, pseudo, ending. If you've read or if you've seen the movie No Country for Old Men, that kind of conversational ending, how it ended just randomly with the sheriff talking about a dream, this is pretty much the same. I didn't really care for the second half of this book. I think it just got a bit ridiculous. Like, I think it strayed too far from the path of kind of the other two books, but still a very, very good book. And I think the whole trilogy itself is just incredible. Like, I don't know, it's just a master, people, there's a description here by Robert Hass, a masterwork, a miracle in prose, an American original, and I agree with that. I think these are like, they call Moby Dick the great American novel, and I would argue that these are the new great American novels, the Border trilogy. And I know it has this kind of reputation of having kind of this male red flag kind of book, like stuff like David Foster Wallace and Infinite Jest and American Psycho and all those kind of books. McCarthy is kind of in that, but not really with these, but more with Blood Meridian, which is there. But I don't really get it with these books. These are something completely different. I'd recommend these, all of them. I think read them in order as they were released. Some people say start with The Crossing and then do All the Pretty Horses, but I just read them when they were released. All the Pretty Horses first, and then read The Crossing. If you've read The Crossing, or if you've read any of them, I'd love to hear your opinions, especially on The Crossing. This book is probably in my top 5 favorite books of all time. This book was just so incredible. And I feel very lucky to have a first edition of this. I'm not actually sure what... I bought this from a bookstore in America. beginning of the year as like a kind of birthday gift, and unfortunately someone wrote their name in the front cover, Jeff Hines, I think the guy's name is. But I'm never gonna sell these books. These are just mine forever. But I feel very lucky to have you know have a Cormac McCarthy first pressing. And I know these do go for a lot of money. I got the entire set for I think around 200 something Australian dollars. But I will have these in my collection forever. Um, I'd love to hear everyone's opinion. If you're watching this video, I'd love to hear your opinions on these books. I'm going to make more videos on Cormac McCarthy. After this one, I think I read Blood Meridian, and I have lots of thoughts about that book, which is going to be kind of a controversial take considering it's so revered and loved, that book. After that one, I think I read Child of God, which was meh. And then I read On the Road. And then I kind of took a break from McCarthy. I want to get back into it. I'd really like to. I started reading Stella Maris, but I just could. I think I was just a bit McCarthy'd out. Oh, I also read No Country for Old Men. I think I read it in like a day. I just smashed it out very quickly. After that, I was just very McCarthy'd out. He has a very distinct writing style and a voice within his writing. And I think I just got a bit tired of it. And I started reading some other stuff. But yeah, these were among the first, 3, 4, 5 books that I read this year. And I don't think it's the best book I've read this year, but it's been my favorite book I've read this year, which is kind of hard to explain. But in another video, I'll talk about what that means to me. Thank you. Thank you for watching.